Hi again, Greg Bell, the News Tribune here in Glendale, Arizona. The Seahawks win tonight 22-16 over the Arizona Cardinals, but that wasn't even half the story. The biggest one, of course, Richard Sherman out for the year with a ruptured Achilles tendon. He said he knew it was going to pop eventually. It's been hurting him since the Rams game on October 8th. He's been on the injury list on and off for an Achilles since September. He said it really started hurting him in that Rams game, but that he'd been managing it by not making hard cuts during the game. He thought if he could just not make hard cuts and sharp cuts on the foot, pushing off of it, he could play with it. Well, he had a pass tonight, John Brown in the third quarter coming to him. Sherman read the play, knew it was coming, jumped the route trying to intercept the pass in what was still a close game at the time, and that's when it popped. He said he heard it pop, knew right away what it was, out for the year. He was on crutches after the game, which you may have seen on the videos I've posted on here on the newstribune.com. And he was in tears. He did. He cried after. It caught up to him. He came in and it was in good spirits. He was joking with me in the locker room. He was joking during the press conference. And then it all caught up to him in the 5 or 10 minutes while speaking. He was on the sidelines during the end of the game, dragging his right leg with him as if it was made of wood, up and down the sidelines, yet still high-fiving guys, coaching him on the field. Jeremy Lane came in for him, and right now that's who's going to be in there at right cornerback for Sherman for the time being, opposite Shaq Griffin, who had his shoulder, by the way, pop out and then pop back in again. The injuries: Dwayne Brown's ankle. Sheldon Richardson left the game twice while injured and came back. One time for hitting Frank Clark, who never did come back into the game after injuring his thigh on that collision with Sheldon Richardson. Michael Wilhoit left the game, did not come back. Doug Baldwin hurt his groin before the game in pregame warm-ups. He said it wasn't ready to play from the last time they played just 4 days ago. And he dragged his leg through the entire game, made that ridiculous catch, leaping in an even more ridiculous double pirouette spin move by Russell Wilson for a 58-yard gain. That was the key play of the game. It was 15-7 at the time. That set up Jimmy Graham's second touchdown catch from Wilson that made it 22-7. 22-10 at the time. Sorry, it was 15-10 at the time of Baldwin's catch, and then it became a 22-10 game after that, and the Seahawks kind of cruised at the end before a late touchdown by the Cardinals. This game was a farce. Thursday night games are a farce. We saw it front and center why. These bodies aren't ready to play. You can't play an NFL game on a Sunday, a competitive one like the Seahawks had, losing 17-14 at home to Washington, and expect those same bodies to be prepared, healed, and ready to play 4 days later. All week I've been reporting how the Seahawks have been telling me their bodies don't even feel like getting out of bed, let alone doing normal functions of life, let alone play an NFL game by maybe Thursday or Friday of a normal game week. After the game, Baldwin went off on the NFL. He said this expletive has to end. It should be illegal. The NFL needs to change it. Bobby Wagner also said the NFL needs to change this format, was his quote, of Thursday games after Sunday. He said the hopes that the NFL is listening and watching tonight and seeing the toll physically it takes on players. I mean, after the game, right outside the locker room, 10 Seahawks piled onto a cart from all angles. Guys who didn't want to walk, it was too painful to walk to the team bus, were trying to cop a ride from a stadium equipment cart, so they didn't walk. It needs to change. Of course, it's not going to change, certainly not before the next CBA comes up in a couple years for renegotiation, but it's not going to change because of this and the television money that the NFL gets by playing these primetime games. Add a second bye week for teams, make it an 18-week season. Some players in the locker room were talking about after the game, why not have only teams play after their bye, Thursday night games after their bye? Well, there are multiple teams that have byes each week beyond the two that could play the following Thursday, so that would leave out some teams, and you'd have to have extra weeks in order for every team to play a Thursday game after a bye. Pete Carroll afterwards, when I asked him, does the league need to change this? A lot of your players think so. He said he didn't want to answer that because he didn't want to have to pay a fine. The implication was clear, is that this is not how football should be played 2 times in 4 days. The Cardinals had 3 players lost to injury during the game as well. It really was a travesty to integrity of the game, to safety and concern of the players. But this the money will still talk. And you can bet that these Thursday night games are here to stay, at least until the NFL Players Association decides to make a stink of the issue. Sherman's out for the year. He's going to have surgery soon after the swelling goes down. That is the biggest takeaway from this. The first time since Russell Sherman's been a Seahawk since 2011, when they drafted him into the league in the 5th round from Stanford, that he will not be on the field for the Seahawks for their final 7 games of the regular season. Seahawks are now 6-3, off until November 20th, Monday night home game against the Atlanta Falcons. As always, catch my coverage at thenewstribune.com. Stories are up there now live with videos as well. And on Twitter at GBellSeattle. Thanks for watching.